Hey everyone, welcome back. And today we have an important and advanced topic, to discuss. Okay, so it's also an interview question. So if you want to tackle the interviews, you must understand the all theory concepts, including the advanced ones. Okay, so today we'll discuss around this topic. Okay, if you are new to the channel, you can click on the link above. Please go through all the videos in the playlist. So we'll discuss on this one. It's an Airtel question. Okay, so the reason why Airtel is asking and like why some companies are asking, you will get to know once you complete this video. Okay, so you will watch this video and then you'll get a clear idea why some companies are asking questions related to continuous flows. Okay, so we'll get started with today's session. First one. Okay, so first one, the years of experience. The experience is the see here, mostly is for seniors. Okay, so at least for 5 plus. Suppose if a candidate, okay, if a candidate with having 3 plus, okay, for example, if he's having 4 years, okay, 4 years, and he's having knowledge of plants. Okay, then we'll consider, no, we'll no that profile, no, will get impressed. And then if a candidate has to answer, all sort of questions related to plans and continuous flows with just a minimum years of experience, then that's a biggest benefit. Okay, so if you are a senior, you must understand the advanced topics. If you're a junior also, you can understand the basics. And then while in interview, okay, you can tell them the theoretical concepts, and then sample graphs or plans. Okay, sample the process. Okay, so because that will be a big impression for you. Okay, so basically, but this question is for a senior level. Okay, so even if some juniors get this question, they will, they'll just try to tell it theoretically. Okay, so because as a recruiter, we look for some advanced topics. Okay, bundled with the basic component. Okay, nowadays, apart from basics, you just have to have some advanced topics, like for example, continuous flows, and then conductivity, and then you have PDL, or you have meta programming. Okay, yeah. Okay, something you just have any one of these. Okay, any one of these have. If I think few people have plans and PDL. Okay, so few people have continuous flows, so few have meta programming. Okay, so like that. Okay, so just have a combo on that one. So expectation would be, for that experience. Okay, for 5 plus, we expect candidate to crack. For this use case we will expect them to understand the basic, basic graphs, continuous graph. Okay, for this they have to understand, they should have that knowledge. Okay, basically, they should have that knowledge of foundation knowledge. Okay, of regular graph, how the regular graph runs, and then how continuous graph runs. Okay, so that's the expectation for this type of question. Okay, so when a recruiter asks this type of question, that expectation is that, and then it basically for a senior level. Okay, in some case, if you apply to Airtel. Okay, if you apply to Airtel and if you're not filtered, then that means your profile is more, more oriented to plans. Okay, more oriented to, either banking. Okay, either banking domain. Okay, or some other plans, or no advanced topics. Okay, if that's the case, then they won't filter you. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so because when you as a senior, if you apply for some companies, they will check whether you got some experience around these areas. For example, if your profile is having experience on continuous graphs and flows, okay, they will consider you. They will put your profile on a more priority. Okay, so that's the expectation. Okay, so and then concept checklist. Okay, so as I told, have a basic foundation knowledge on, foundation knowledge on how graphs runs. Okay, so foundation idea on, how normal graph runs, and then your continuous graphs. Okay, so that's the uh, concepts. And then related to, see, if you compare, if you go on getting, go on bring the difference, then it will include all the things related to the both basic and continuous. Okay, for example, component related to, components related to, no, don't. Okay, components related to basic, and then which is like a regular. Okay, so regular batch, batch, and then continuous flows. Okay, so continuous graph. So what are the components related to that, and then what are the some, what some parameters or some process, some functions, everything. Okay, so they will check in and out. Okay, so that will, you have to cover everything. Okay, basically everything. So for that, if you have hands on, okay, so if you have hands on, then that would be good. Okay, hands on at least few, building some continuous graph, then that would be good. Or else if you have theoretical knowledge, if you have if you have a, suppose if you have a continuous graph that built, and is present in your sandbox, okay, another sandbox, okay, so you can go and view that, okay, if you're able to run that. Okay, so if you have hands-on, that's good. Otherwise, you can have a proper theoretical understanding. Okay, so we'll start with, before going to the difference. Okay, so we'll see all the difference. Okay, so we have brought 10 differences, major differences. So before seeing the differences, first understand. Okay, if you're new, if you're a beginner. Okay, so if you're a beginner, we will just bring the playlist later. Okay, maybe in the shutdown time. Okay, December time. Okay, so for now, I'll just give you a short answer. Okay, so suppose if you have a regular graph. Okay, so far we have discussed no regular graph types. Okay, regular batch graph types. Okay, so those graph will run and then will stop. Okay, so will run and then it will process. Okay, so let's say it process. Okay, so process each record. Okay, so process each record and then it transforms. Okay, and then it just write. Okay, it just writes to the output. Okay, and then after complete complete output creation, then your graph stops. Okay, graph stops and then successful. Okay, so it's the graph is the process is successful. Okay, so this is how your normal graph runs, and then you can you can just schedule it using either autosys or either cron or whatever. Okay, just whenever your batch runs. Okay, daily. Okay, daily your batch runs, it starts and then stops. Okay, at the end. Okay, so that's the basic regular regular graph understanding. Okay, but if you go for continuous graph, here the scenario is different. Okay, so you will get let's say you will get. Okay, so you have publisher and then subscriber. Okay, like you have input and output, you have subscriber and publisher. Okay, in place of input and output respectively. Okay, so in the continuous graph, what happens is that data flows indefinitely. Okay, so continuously. Okay, continuously, and then in the we'll collect that in the queue. Okay, and then we'll just send it to the respective compound. Okay, you can use normalize. Okay, you can use sort or continuous roll up or whatever compound that fits. Okay, and then it processes each group. Okay, so we call it as a unit of work. Okay, so see, I will come back to all the configuration and then basic understanding in a separate continuous flow playlist. Okay, so for now, just understand data are flowing continuously, and then transform is being applied on each group. Okay, each unit of work, and then finally we are just going to the publisher. Okay, so where it writes all the whatever group whatever group of data. Okay, coming in queue. Okay, it gets written to this publisher. Okay, it will write and then it will write to a file. Okay, so whatever queues are getting collected, processed, and then it will write to the queue. I mean file. Okay, from the queue to file. Okay, so that means your processing itself is happening in a bunch of groups. Okay, called a unit of work. Okay, so that's the basic understanding. So that's the that's the simplest difference. Okay, so we'll go to the differences now. So when you see the differences, okay, 10 differences, you will understand more idea. Okay, you will get more idea and you will understand better. Okay, so first difference. Okay, so first one, see, we have collected 10 differences like practically. Okay, so while our when we do our practical hands-on, so whatever we have seen, we have just corrected this. Okay, so take a note of this. Okay, so it's like a very very important to understand the basic difference and then tell that in an interview. Okay, so you should not be getting confused in interview. Okay, so basic first difference is process. Okay, so when I say process, when we say process, as I told you, this basic graph, basic batch graph, okay, runs for some see input is already there. Okay, suppose this input is from a table. Okay, target table, some source table. Okay, source table have some 1,000 or 1 million record. Okay, whatever. Okay, stored. Okay, so we have a finite set of data. Okay, so the process here in batch graph, okay, so that runs for a finite set of data. Okay, and then it completes. Okay, after that it completes. Okay, finds it and then it completes. Okay, but your continuous graph, it runs forever. Okay, so even see your this setup. Okay, this continuous graph setup will run forever. Okay, indefinitely. Even see, even if you don't have any queues, okay, that will wait. Okay, if suppose if you don't have queue. Okay, some data, for example data. Okay, if you don't have data, source data, this will wait, okay. So it will wait for the data, okay. So it will run indefinitely, okay, when you start the trigger, okay. So run mode now. So next one, when I say the trigger, so how to run, okay. So since we are like we are speaking practically here, okay, we're dealing practically here. So yeah, you might have seen, okay, so how to run the normal graph, you can just press F5 or just that green arrow button, okay. So but in the continuous graph, you have to make sure your run mode is continuous, okay. So see, your run mode is continuous, and then that you have to change it in graph settings, okay. Only if you do that, your ab initio system will consider this as a continuous system. Otherwise it will just it won't execute, okay. It will just have some error, okay. See, you have, when you put a continuous graph component, you have to ensure the graph settings, okay. So that's one kind of difference, okay, when you build a normal graph and continuous graph, okay. And another thing is, so we know that we are processing, and then we are able to run this one like within with the different settings here. And then how does the output creates, okay. So output is created in the batch graph at once, okay. So each record process, and then it writes, and then it gets an appended into the output file. And then when the graph stops, after that your output file will be visible, okay, in your directory, okay. So it created at once, and then not available until the graph finishes, okay. Only when the graph finish, your file will be visible, okay. But on the other hand, okay, on contrary, okay, so your continuous graph, it will it will create the output, okay. It will, I mean, it will publish the output like increment. It will create incrementally, okay. For example, I would say, okay, we'll just add one, for example, we have, let's say, xyz, okay, 0.001. So this is one queue, okay. And we have one more queue, okay. So these are like, we have a this set of queues coming in, okay, into a subscriber, okay. Suppose if these two are considered one group, okay, single group, okay, consider single group. And then xyz 003, and then xyz 004, okay. So these are separate group, okay, called unit of work, okay. So this one is separate. So this one is one, this one will consider this as a one group, and then this will a group, okay. So for example, if you run this group will get written, okay. So this will get processed, okay, transformed, okay, and then it will be written, okay. It will be written the publisher, and then to the file, okay. So it's set of like each group, and then that's why we have put created incrementally, okay. So your output file will not wait for this entire graph to get completed, okay, because the entire graph will not be getting completed unless we trigger, like we forcefully shut down, okay. So until then your output will be created incrementally, okay, then now and then, okay. That's so, okay. So that's how that's how like you call this that as an incremental thing, okay. So and the other thing is, the important thing is phase, okay. See, normally, if you look at the regular graph, okay, you have, see, zero phase zero, phase zero, phase zero, okay. Suppose normally if you want to write in the same input file, okay, see, this is the input file you are transforming, okay. For example, you have a full name here, okay, like you have some full name here, okay. I mean first name, last name here. If you want to merge, okay, merge with something, okay, rename something, and then if you want to write in the same input file, what will you do? Like, you will just do a same input file, and you will have a, you will introduce a phase break here, okay. You will just increment the phase to 1, from 0 to 1. Let it, okay, this one and these two components will execute in 0 phase, and then after that, this should be executed in phase 1, so that you don't have the collision, okay. So because we have same input file, okay. So phase is kind of is useful for phase break and then checkpoint as well, okay. So regular graph matlab, you have the phases advantage, okay. But continuous graph, okay, so we have multi phases, right? So it starts from 0 1 to, like, you can set up anything, okay. So but on the other hand, we don't have any phase concept, okay. See, in this continuous graph, you don't have anything like phase, okay. So if you trigger, it will run, and then if you can force shutdown, okay. So that's what, okay. And that's the one difference. And then data source, coming to data source, if we have, see, in your normal batch graph, okay, you have flat file, mms file, like excel sheet, and then json, xml, everything, okay. So you have input table and everything. But for you say for the continuous graph, we have ab initio queues, n queues, okay. So these kind of queues, okay, queues and web services, I think so, okay. So like, so since we have discussed on the data source, if you see at the component, okay, so component which can handle those data source, okay. So when it comes to regular batch graph, you have input file, output file, and input table, output table, okay. But in the continuous graph, we have subscriber and then publisher, okay. So subscriber is like for input, and then output is for like publish, okay. Like when you talk in terms of continuous graph, okay. So that's like one kind of difference. And then shutdown, okay. See, we have seen the process and then run. Now if you want to shut down the graph, see, normally what happens in your batch, okay, so when you trigger this graph, no, this input files will get unloaded, and then reformat, transform will applied, and then for each record it will get written, and then finally once the output file is available, it will stop automatically, okay. So auto shutdown, okay, so auto shutdown after processing. But here in the continuous graph, it will keep on running, okay. So what should you do? You have a shutdown options, okay. See, shutdown options will have variety here, okay. We have many options, okay. We have 3 to 4 options, okay. So that one, we have normal, forced, okay. So all these are available in the front end GD, okay. So in the back end also you can have that command, okay. So that means you have explicitly you have to go and shut down, okay. So normally don't shutdown, okay. See, we have variety of use case interview questions regarding shutdown, checkpoint, recovery, okay. So I'll just mark this as a red, okay, so that you have to focus more on this area when you focus on continuous flows, okay. Yeah. So next one, okay. So I think we hope we are clear with shutdown. So next one is checkpoint, okay. See, checkpoint, normally in a batch graph, your phases determine the checkpoint, and then your recovery restart it from last checkpoint, okay. It's like it's like your phases, and then checkpoint, and then your failure, okay. Recovery will depend on that last checkpoint, okay. It's like this roadmap, okay. But in the continuous graph, what happens is that you have as I told you, we have a unit of work, okay. See, this is, if you consider this as a group, okay, we have a no we have a checkpoint here, okay. Run, like with checkpoint for, see, for suppose in a batch graph you have a checkpoint here, okay, for each component, okay. So but in the continuous graph, if see each group is coming into this flow, I mean compound, okay, other compound, okay. The each group will have checkpoint here, okay. So when the graph fails, it will resume from that unit of work, okay. If suppose if that unit of work is suppose in process, that will get restarted, okay, to maintain the data consistency, okay. So that's the idea main here, okay. See, if I show it as graphically, you will better understand, okay. So I will just prepare those no graphical contents, okay, when we proceed for continuous graph playlist, okay. So for now, you just assume if we have bunch of records as group, okay. So bunch of group group based like grouped records coming, that that will decide the checkpoint, and then followed by the recovery. The recovery will be decided, okay. See, resumes from that checkpoint. So checkpoint is decided by the unit of work, okay. And then that recovery, in coming to recovery, if suppose that unit of work in progress, okay, at the time of failure or something, that will be restarted, okay. So restarted or replayed to ensure the data consistency, okay. So this one is another key point, okay. So basically checkpoint and recovery, this is a repeated question, okay. So like you have to focus on this one, okay. So now coming to example. Okay, see, when you see example here, in the for the continuous graph, we have telephone data. Okay, so call center and everything, and then credit fraud. Okay, see, we have ATM fraud and everything, right? So those transactions, okay, ATM transactions. Okay, so these call center, okay, so these come under continuous flows, okay. So on the other hand example, you have home loan, okay, like whatever static, okay, static, or for for each month process, okay, whatever, okay. So monthly monthly payment, okay. So those those will be included in the basic graph, okay, batch graph. Okay, so that's the example. And companies, okay, when we have brought added extra companies list here, okay. So companies would be basically delight, they play with plans, okay. So not sure, okay. So we have heard from the interviews, the recruiter, words, okay. So and then and then other companies, okay, Capgemini or other thing, okay, TCS and other thing, okay. But here in basically I think insurance companies, okay, it's like who handle the monthly payments and everything. So on the other hand, like continuous flows, okay, graphs, CP, okay, some banks, okay, some banks they handle the credit frauds, okay. Okay, so CBA or City or whatever, okay, they handle the credit fraud, transaction thing, and they monitor that. Okay, so they monitor the credit fraud using this, continuous flows. Okay, and Airtel, see Airtel now. Okay, Airtel, we have got this Airtel here. Okay, so which tracks down the telephone data. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so that's it. Okay, I think you have understood like no basic differences here. Okay, so if you are beginner or if you are junior, you must know all the differences. Okay, so now take a note of this and then practice it. Okay, so we'll come back to the runtime and then other use cases later. Okay, so we have a bunch of intro questions regarding that. We'll come back to the later. Okay, so for now this is the basic difference. And then to start with, okay, if you are see if you guys are working on bachelor continuously, then this video, okay, this basic difference will be nice transition for you to to jump into continuous growth. Okay, so like coming forward, like going forward, we'll study more on continuous flows and then dynamic lookup and then meta programming and everything. Okay, so it will be nice transition here. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope like this video was useful for you. Okay, so and another thing, okay, so I have brought a poll. Okay, poll result. Okay, so the poll result which we have kept like few weeks before. Okay, so people have decided uh, they have decided can't see plans. Okay, so people want, seems they want plans. And then we got meta programming and PDL. Okay, let's say PDL meta programming. Okay, and then PDL and meta hub. Okay, meta programming, and then and then you have you got beginner playlist. Okay, so Abinitio beginner developer playlist. Okay, so and then you got continuous flows. Okay, so this is the this is the flow for now. Okay, so if you are if you haven't voted, okay, you can go and check it in the community post. Okay, so you can still vote. Okay, so we'll wait for the December, December shutdown period. Okay, so when we have some time to breathe, okay, to we can prepare some nice contents on these areas. Okay, so contact daily plans fully and then continues. Okay, like for like a learners playlist. Okay, not like a no interview playlist, like a learners playlist. Okay, we create that on that winter time. Okay, winter time. Okay, leaves. So that's it for today. Okay, I hope like this video was useful for you. Okay, so you can share with your friends and juniors. Okay, so let them learn and then let them crack the interview. Okay, so if they if they get the offer from if they get the call from Airtel, then you must know about countries and everything. Okay, so I'll just bring up bring up another use case sometime. So until then, tata, bye bye.